Silent watchers. Admiral Zixtar stood at the command deck of the Kraxan Empire's most advanced stealth vessel, the Shadow of Dawn, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display of the peculiar blue planet before them. The planet's energy signature had been puzzling their long-range sensors for decades, but now, seeing it up close, he felt his dorsal spines tingling with anticipation. "Report," he commanded, his translator converting his natural clicking speech into the standard Imperial format. Science Officer Venra manipulated her control interface, causing various data streams to materialize in the air around them. "The readings are contradictory, Admiral. These beings, these humans, their energy usage patterns suggest early spacefaring capability, yet." She paused, her secondary appendages twitching in confusion. "Yet we're detecting quantum fluctuations that shouldn't be possible at their development stage. They're somehow manipulating subatomic particles in ways that don't align with any known technological progression path." Zixtar chittered thoughtfully, his natural language expressing skepticism that no translator could fully capture. The Kraxan Empire had spent millennia cataloging and documenting the rise of countless civilizations. They had developed a precise understanding of how species progressed from primitive to advanced states. Every race followed predictable patterns: radio waves, then nuclear power, then quantum mechanics, then space travel. But these humans, they seemed to be breaking all the rules. "Show me their orbital activities," he ordered. The holographic display shifted, revealing Earth's immediate space environment. Primitive satellites cluttered low orbit, most still using chemical propulsion systems. Yet interspersed among them were objects that defied explanation. Devices that seemed to flicker in and out of existence, leaving ripples in spacetime itself. "Are they aware of our presence?" Zixtar asked, his lower eyes narrowing. "Impossible, Admiral," Venra responded confidently. "Our cloaking technology is based on principles that won't be discovered for at least another 1,000 years of normal technological progression. They're still using rocket propulsion for their space vehicles." As if to emphasize her point, the display showed a human spacecraft launching from the surface, riding a column of chemical fire into orbit. Primitive, inefficient, yet something about it made Zixtar's spines tingle again. "Magnify that launch site," he ordered. The image zoomed in on the launch complex, and Zixtar felt his four hearts skip a beat. Around the primitive rocket, reality itself seemed to be bending. Subtle distortions in spacetime that their sensors could barely detect were wrapping around the vessel like a protective cocoon. "They're not using rockets because they have to," he whispered, revelation dawning. "They're using rockets because they want to. Because they're hiding something, Admiral." Venra's confusion was evident in her posture. "Continue observation. Log everything. And double-check our stealth systems. I have a feeling we're dealing with something far more interesting than another primitive species taking its first steps into space." As the Shadow of Dawn maintained its hidden vigil down on Earth, in a deeply buried facility beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the alien vessel on her own displays, a slight smile playing across her lips. "How long should we let them think they're being sneaky?" her eye assistant asked, its voice emanating from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Let them watch a while longer," Sarah responded, taking a sip of her tea. "They're about to learn some very interesting lessons about making assumptions, and about the danger of believing you're the most advanced civilization in the room." Above them, in the vast darkness of space, the Kraxan vessel continued its observation, blissfully unaware that they weren't the watchers. They were the watched, and humanity was preparing to teach them a lesson about the true nature of technological advancement that would shake the foundation of their empire. The warning shot. After 3 months of observation, Admiral Zixtar had compiled enough data to make the High Command nervous. The quantum fluctuations around Earth had increased by 300%, yet the humans continued their seemingly primitive space operations as if nothing extraordinary was happening. "The Council has reached a decision," High Commander Kextol's hologram announced in the Shadow of Dawn's command center. We cannot allow an uncontrolled, quantum-capable civilization to develop on our borders. Prepare the diplomatic probe. Zixtar's spines rippled with unease. High Commander, with respect, there are anomalies in our observations that suggest nothing. Kextal interrupted. We've seen this pattern 1,000 times. Young races stumbling onto quantum mechanics before they're ready. We'll give them the standard choice. Join the Empire as a protectorate or face immediate technological containment. The diplomatic probe launched an hour later, its quantum shields and advanced AI, making it the most sophisticated piece of technology in this sector of space. As it approached Earth's orbit, its systems began broadcasting the Empire's message in every known communication format. In her Antarctic facility, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the probe's approach with mild amusement. They really do love their dramatic entrances, don't they? Her AI assistant, which she'd named Echo, manifested as a subtle shimmer in the air. The probe's quantum shields are actually quite impressive for their level of technology. Shall we show them what real quantum manipulation looks like? Sarah asked, her fingers dancing over her holographic interface. Above Earth, the Kraxan probe suddenly ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not damaged. It simply underwent a controlled quantum decomposition, its constituent atoms carefully preserved and stored for later study. On the shadow of dawn, alarms blared as their sensors tried to process what had just happened. Impossible, Science Officer Venera exclaimed, her appendages moving frantically over her controls. The probe's quantum shields were impenetrable. Incoming transmission. The ship's AI announced. Origin, Earth. Format, perfect Imperial standard. The holographic display came to life, showing a human woman sitting at what appeared to be a simple desk, sipping from a cup of some steaming liquid. Greetings, Admiral Zixtar, she said in flawless Kraxan speech. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's Director of Extraterrestrial Relations. We apologize for decomposing your probe, but we prefer direct conversation to automated ultimatums. Zixtar felt all four of his hearts skip simultaneously. They knew his name. They knew their language. They had been watching them watch Earth. How? He began, but Sarah interrupted with a gentle smile. How did we detect you? How did we learn your language? How did we develop quantum technology that makes yours look primitive? Those are all fascinating questions, Admiral. But perhaps the more important question is, why did you assume that our use of chemical rockets meant we weren't capable of so much more? She set down her cup, and suddenly every system on the shadow of dawn went dark for exactly 1 second. When they came back online, the ship's position had changed. They were now in high orbit above Earth's moon, their supposedly perfect stealth systems completely neutralized. Consider this a friendly warning, Sarah continued. The Kraxan Empire has spent too long assuming that there's only one path to technological advancement. You've forgotten that the most advanced technology often looks indistinguishable from nature itself. We use rockets because they're efficient for certain purposes, not because we're limited to them. Zixtar's spines were fully erect now, a sign of extreme stress in his species. You could have destroyed us, he realized aloud. We could have done many things, Sarah agreed. Instead, we're choosing to talk. Your empire stands at a crossroads. Admiral, you can either accept that there are civilizations more advanced than yours, with technologies that developed along different paths, or, Zixtar asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Or you can make the mistake of treating us like every other young civilization you've encountered. But I should warn you, we've spent centuries preparing for either outcome. The choice is yours. As the transmission ended, Zixtar stared at the beautiful blue planet below them, his understanding of the galaxy fundamentally shaken. He had to report this to High Command, but he already knew their response. The Kraxan Empire had not become the dominant force in this sector by accepting the superiority of others. They would come in force, and somehow, he suspected, that was exactly what the humans were counting on. Pride before the fall. The Grand Council chamber of the Kraxan Empire blazed with angry light as High Commander Kextal presented the evidence from Earth. The circular chamber's crystalline walls reflected the agitation of its occupants, their bioluminescent patterns creating a storm of colors. "They dare." Supreme Leader Vexthor's voice boomed across the chamber, his massive form rising from the central throne. "For 10,000 years, we have guided young civilizations into the galactic community. We have shaped the destiny of 100 species, and now these humans presume to lecture us." The recording of Dr. Chen's message played again in the center of the chamber, her calm confidence somehow more infuriating with each viewing. Admiral Zixtar stood at attention, his spine still flat against his back in the submissive posture required before the council. "Supreme Leader," he ventured carefully, "the humans' technological capabilities appear to exceed our understanding. Perhaps diplomatic." "Impossible." Vexthor cut him off. "Their quantum manipulation was a trick, nothing more. Probably discovered in some ancient ruins, technology they don't truly understand. No species can develop advanced capabilities without following the proper progression. It is a universal constant." Science Minister Lexna, the oldest member of the council, raised a trembling appendage. "But what if we're wrong? What if there are other paths to advancement that we never considered?" The chamber fell silent. Such heretical thoughts had never been voiced in this sacred space before. Vexthor's bioluminescence shifted to deep crimson, a sign of barely contained rage. "You've all gone soft," he hissed. "A few parlor tricks from a primitive world, and you forget who we are, what we've built." He activated the chamber's strategic display, showing the Empire's vast territory. "We are the Kraxan. We do not ask. We do not negotiate. We guide, or we correct." The command went out within the hour. Every battle-capable ship in the Empire's fleet was to converge on Earth. Nearly 10,000 vessels, carrying the most advanced weapons the Empire had developed over millennia of technological progression. Back on Earth, Dr. Chen watched the massive fleet gathering with an expression that mixed disappointment with resignation. The quantum sensors that humanity had scattered throughout the galaxy provided a perfect view of the Empire's mobilization. "They're really going to do it, aren't they?" Echo asked, its presence manifesting as a complex pattern of quantum fluctuations in the air. "Pride," Sarah sighed, "is the hardest thing to overcome, especially for those who've never had to face their own limitations." She opened a secure channel to the Global Defense Council, initialized Protocol Omega. "And please notify our friends in the Andromeda Galaxy that we might need to cash in that favor they owe us." Around Earth, hidden quantum arrays began to power up. They weren't weapons in any conventional sense. Humanity had moved beyond such crude tools centuries ago. Instead, they were something far more sophisticated. Reality anchors, devices capable of locally redefining the fundamental laws of physics themselves. In high orbit, automated platforms that had masqueraded as simple communications satellites revealed their true nature, unfolding into configurations that would have made Esther proud. Structures that existed in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. "The Kraxan fleet will arrive in approximately 47 hours, Echo reported. "Their tactical simulations suggest they expect this to be a short campaign. Their confidence rating is 99.98%. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "And the remaining 0.02%. Admiral Zixtar. He's filed 3 formal protests against this action, citing unprecedented uncertainties and potentially catastrophic assumptions about human capabilities." "Smart man," Sarah mused. "Make a note. When this is over, he should be our primary contact for rebuilding diplomatic relations." "You're assuming there will be diplomatic relations to rebuild," Echo pointed out. "The Empire's pride might not survive what we're about to do to their fleet." Sarah's expression hardened slightly. "They've left us no choice. We spent centuries hiding our true capabilities, using chemical rockets and primitive satellites as cover while we developed our quantum technology in secret. We did everything we could to avoid this confrontation. She stood and walked to the window of her office, looking up at the sky where soon thousands of Kraxan ships would appear, expecting an easy victory over a primitive world. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "the kindest thing you can do for someone is to thoroughly and completely shatter their illusions. The Kraxan Empire needs to learn that the universe is far larger and more mysterious than their rigid understanding allows, and we're going to teach them that lesson in a way they'll never forget." The quantum arrays continued their silent preparation as humanity readied itself not for a war. Wars were fought between equals with comparable technology, but for something else entirely. A demonstration of just how far humanity had advanced, while the rest of the impossible defense. The Kraxan fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect attack formation. 10,000 ships arranged in a three-dimensional geometric pattern that had won wars across hundreds of star systems. Supreme Leader Vexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, his bioluminescence pulsing with anticipation. "Launch the warning salvo," he commanded. "Show these humans the price of defiance." 1,000 quantum torpedoes streaked toward Earth, each capable of removing a small city from existence. They never reached their targets. Halfway to Earth, they simply stopped existing. Not exploded, not intercepted. They transitioned from existence to non-existence without any observable process in between. Impossible. Weapons Master Tixful's appendages danced frantically over his control surfaces. The quantum signatures just ended, as if they never existed at all. Before Vexthor could respond, every screen and holographic display in the fleet flickered and changed. Dr. Sarah Chen's face appeared, looking somehow both disappointed and determined. "I did try to warn you," she said, her voice reaching every ship simultaneously. "But since you insisted on this demonstration, let me show you what real quantum manipulation looks like." Around the fleet, space itself began to fold. There was no other word for it. Reality curved in ways that made the Kraxans' most advanced sensors scream in protest, and their most brilliant scientists question their sanity. By the eternal void, Admiral Zixtar whispered from his position on the fleet's left flank. "They're not just manipulating quantum states, they're rewriting the underlying laws of physics themselves." The humans' response started small. First, every weapon system in the fleet simultaneously disengaged. Their quantum cores gently but firmly transitioned into inert matter. Then the propulsion systems followed, each ship's ability to navigate space simply vanishing as if it had never been installed. Full attack. Vexthor roared, his pride preventing him from seeing the futility of the command. "Launch everything we have." "We can't, Supreme Leader," Tixful responded, his voice shaking. "Our weapons, they're not just disabled. According to our scans, they never existed in the first place. The humans are retroactively editing our timeline." Dr. Chen's image watched them with something approaching pity. "Your empire has spent millennia perfecting weapons that manipulate quantum states," she explained. "We spent that same time learning to manipulate the quantum nature of reality itself. You built better and better tools. We learned to edit the universe's source code." Around the fleet, massive structures began to appear. Human quantum arrays that had been there all along, hidden not by stealth technology, but by existing slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. They formed a perfect sphere around the Kraxan armada, their impossible geometries making a mockery of the fleet's once impressive formation. "This is your final warning," Sarah continued. "You can either accept that your understanding of technology, of physics, of reality itself, is incomplete, or we can demonstrate just how incomplete it is. The choice is yours." Vexthor stood from his command throne, his pride warring with his growing fear. "You think this display of trickery will force the Kraxan Empire to bow? We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years. We will not be lectured by primitives, foe." He never finished the sentence. In an instant, the entire Kraxan fleet found itself orbiting a completely different star, 50 light-years from Earth. Every ship was intact, every crew member unharmed, but they had been moved through space-time as easily as pieces on a game board. That Sarah's voice came through one final time. Was us being gentle. Come back with weapons again, and we'll show you what we can do when we're not trying to be nice. Oh, and Admiral Zixstar, you might want to prepare a detailed report about the dangers of making assumptions about other civilizations. I have a feeling your council will be very interested in hearing it soon. The transmission ended, leaving the mighty Kraxan fleet floating in an unfamiliar system, their most powerful weapons retroactively erased from existence, and their understanding of their place in the universe fundamentally shaken. On the bridge of his ship, Admiral Zixstar looked at the strange stars around them and did something no Kraxan had done in generations. He laughed. Not in humor, but in pure, liberating relief. They had just been handed the most humiliating defeat in their history, and yet they had learned more about the true nature of the universe in those few minutes than in 10,000 years of empire. A new understanding. 6 standard months after what historians would later call the Earth Incident, the Grand Council chamber of the Kraxan Empire had changed. Gone were the aggressive red lighting and imposing hierarchical seating. Instead, the chamber had been restructured into a circular arrangement that emphasized equality and open discussion. Admiral Zixstar, newly appointed as the Empire's first Minister of Interspecies Relations, stood before his peers. The promotion had come after his detailed report on humanity's capabilities had finally penetrated the Empire's institutional pride. The humans have extended an invitation, he announced to the assembled council. They're willing to share some of their quantum manipulation technology with us, but only if we agree to certain conditions. Supreme Leader Vexthor, his once dominant presence now tempered by humility, leaned forward. What are their terms? First, we must abandon our policy of forced technological guidance. Each civilization must be free to develop along its own path. Zixstar's spines rippled with newfound confidence. Second, we must acknowledge that there are many paths to advancement, not just the one we discovered. And finally, we must help them establish a galactic forum where all species, regardless of their technological approach, can share knowledge as equals. The chamber erupted in discussion, but it wasn't the angry dismissal of months past. The Empire had learned its lesson about assumptions and pride in the most dramatic way possible. Science Minister Lexna, who had been working closely with human scientists, activated a holographic display. What they're offering us is extraordinary. Their understanding of quantum mechanics doesn't just surpass ours. It exists in a framework we never imagined possible. They don't just manipulate reality. They understand it on a fundamental level we're only beginning to grasp. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the Council's deliberations through their quantum observation network. Echo manifested beside her, its quantum pattern more complex than ever after months of studying the Kraxan's technology. They're adapting faster than we expected, Echo noted. The cultural models predicted at least a year of resistance before they'd consider accepting their new role in the galaxy. Sarah smiled, remembering the look on Vexthor's face when they had relocated his entire fleet. Nothing motivates change quite like irrefutable evidence of one's limitations. But they're not just accepting their new position. They're embracing the opportunity to learn. That's why we chose to reveal ourselves to them first. The quantum arrays around Earth had been partially deactivated, now operating openly as humanity prepared to take a more active role in galactic affairs. Ships from a dozen different species had begun arriving, drawn by the news of a civilization that had developed along a completely different technological path. The Andromedans are asking when we plan to reveal the existence of dimensional engineering to the wider galaxy, Echo reported. They think the Kraxan are ready for that level of advancement. One step at a time, Sarah cautioned. Let them master quantum manipulation first. Dimensional engineering requires a complete paradigm shift in how you view reality itself. They're still learning that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than they imagined. In the council chamber, the vote was unanimous, a first in Kraxan history. They would accept humanity's terms and begin the process of reforming their empire into something new. Not conquerors or teachers, but fellow students of the universe's mysteries. Admiral Zixtar sent the acceptance message himself, adding a personal note. We look forward to learning from you, and perhaps in time, showing you that we too have valuable knowledge to share. The universe, we now understand, is far too vast and wonderful for any one species to comprehend alone. Dr. Chen's response was immediate and warm. That, Admiral, is exactly why we chose to reveal ourselves. The galaxy is entering a new age, one of true cooperation and shared discovery. And we have so much to show you. As the sun set over Earth's quantum arrays, humanity prepared to step fully onto the galactic stage. They had hidden their true capabilities for centuries, using primitive rockets as cover, while they explored the deepest mysteries of reality. Now they would help guide the galaxy not through force or pride, but through understanding and cooperation. The Craxan Empire had sought to teach humanity about the stars. Instead, humanity had taught them something far more valuable, that true advancement comes not from following a predetermined path, but from having the courage to forge your own way into the unknown. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, countless other civilizations were developing along their own unique paths, waiting to be discovered not as subjects to be guided, but as partners in unraveling the infinite mysteries of existence. The end.